Hello everyone, welcome to another lesson on IELTS academic grading. In this lesson, we are focusing on words that you can use to describe graphs. In the IELTS rating task 1 for academic exam or IELTS academic exam, in task 1 you're asked to describe different types of graphs. And for these different types of graphs, you need to be able to rapidly figure out the trend and describe that kind of trend that exists in that graph. So for those kind of different trends, we want to in this lesson, we want to go over different verbs and adverbs that you can use to describe all the different types of trends. And this would be a recap of the previous lessons that we went on different types of trends. But in this lesson, we are going to focus on all of it. We are reviewing the verbs and adverbs. Adjectives you can figure out from the adverbs, but we're not gonna go write down the sentences, and you can build sentences with the words that we are going to mention here. So, for example, for the increased trend, you can use verbs such as rise, increase, obviously, grow, climb, and surge. So, for example, the revenue rose to 20% last year, or increased 20% last year. However, there's a little bit of a difference here between surge and the other ones. Surge is typically used when the increase is more dramatic or sharp. So for that also we need to talk about adverbs. So different adverbs that you can use, for example, gradually. So you can say the revenue increased gradually, steadily, similar to gradually. It just slow and always happened. Rapidly, so something increased rapidly. Sharply, and dramatically. So typically, when we say surge, it means that it's a dramatic increase. So let's just visually describe these as well. So for example, gradual increase would look like this. Steadily, similar also. Rapidly would be like more exponential. Sharply would be maybe something like this. And dramatically, maybe even more exponential. This is just roughly describing it. It's not 100%, but generally when you say a sharp increase, you want to be a sharp trend or a sharp angle, for example, in your graph as well. So there are these different adverbs that exist that you can describe what kind of increases that you have in your graph. Same as the increase, there the opposite of it, which would be decrease. So for decrease, you can use verbs such as fall, decline, drop, decrease, obviously, diminish, for example, when something became smaller, going down, and finally plummet. Sorry, let me write it more clear. Plummet and sink. So again, typically these last two, plummet and sink, is when the decrease is more dramatic, is more all of a sudden. And you can use similar adverbs in the previous one, that was for increase. You can use it for decrease as well. So adverbs such as gradually, steadily, rapidly, sharply, dramatically, you can use for all of these verbs as well. So for example, the revenue decreased dramatically, or the sales figures dropped sharply. And the essentially the those adverbs is the opposite effect. So for example, something that plummets sharply is this kind of trend. So it was going up and all of a sudden plummets. And same as sinks. So something that sank very dramatically, meaning that it was, let's say, going steadily or going up a little bit, and all of a sudden it sank dramatically. So let's also talk about some other adverbs that you can use specifically for decrease. So for example, you can use steeply and slightly as well. So steeply meaning that it was going down, and slightly means that it went down by a little bit, not too much. Let's say 5%. So you can say the temperature, or the average temperature dropped slightly by 5%. So these are the um, the verbs that you can use for decreased trend. Keep in mind again these two are for more dramatic decreases, same as surge and soar. Let's say soar also you can use for a more dramatic effect. So the prices soared 120%, let's say, and plummet or plunged and sink is more dramatic decrease. Generally, these are the most amount of verbs you need to know to describe decrease. And also we talked about fluctuation. So fluctuation, similarly, there are different types of fluctuations that you want to describe. Mainly, you want to say something fluctuates or varies between two values, and the adjectives that you can use, you can say it's inconsistent, so meaning that, or it's irregular, meaning that it doesn't have a typical pattern, or it's volatile. So for example, I would say an inconsistent fluctuation, meaning that like, it doesn't have a pattern. And something that is more volatile, it has like more ups and downs. So that's where you use for example, the temperature is fluctuates in a volatile manner. Also, you can use, so this is for the fluctuation pattern, but for the pattern that after a while it stabilizes, meaning that there's not much change anymore, you can use verbs such as plateau. So the sales figures plateaus at 20 units per month, let's say, or stabilizes at that value, or remains steady, or the kind of or remains constant. Let's put constant here as well. So this means that generally, and there are different, so for example, there are different adverbs that you can use, but they generally mean the same thing. So consistently, steadily, and constantly. So you can say that the graph plateaus um, at 10,000 consistently after X number of months, for example. And these are essentially different types of verbs and adverbs that I wanted to bring up here so you can practice a little bit of these different verbs and adverbs to describe different types of increase or different types of decrease and different types of fluctuations. And if you look deeply at these, there are not that many different types of decreases or different types of increases. They are very limited at the end of the day. So just by practicing a little bit, so for example, increased dramatically or increased gradually or dropped in a dramatic fashion or plummets rapidly, by practicing a little bit of these verbs and adverbs combination, then you realize your descriptions becomes a lot more interesting and more similar to closer to the actual graph, and that will improve your uh, score by a lot. And that's it for today. I just wanted to quickly go over different verbs and adverbs that you can use for IELTS academic writing task 1. Hope you like this one. See you in the next one. Cheers.